Specifically, this AI phone feature, does it tie into different soft phones, for example, different features that different case management services have to manage volume and routing?
So we have our own like automations and workflow system that we built. Right now it's 3. Is it a cold, a warm, or a hot lead? You guys basically get to tell how to know what's what. Hot lead after hours, do this. Hot lead during hours, do this. Warm lead after hours, we have a calendar integration where we could just go set it on your consultation calendar if it's a warm lead. And so like it's able to do things based on your desires. And then the way we tie into like your phone systems is you get to say, hey, at what times a day or when do we send calls to Hona's AI? Is it overflow? Is it after hours? Is it every call? Do you want this to act as your receptionist? Depending on firm size, that sometimes makes a ton of sense.
Welcome to Harry Handles It, a podcast where we dive into the world of personal growth, success strategies, and everything in between. I'm your host, Harry Nalbandyan, and today we're going to chat with an incredible guest who has some amazing insights to share. Remember, no matter what life throws your way, I'm here to help you handle it. So let's get started.
Welcome to Harry Handles It. Today we've got a wonderful guest, Matt McClellan, on our podcast. Matt, good morning.
Good morning, Harry. Thanks for having me. Excited to talk about all the ways you handle it.
That was good. Matt, can you tell our listeners a little bit about the company that you co-founded and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for the intro, Harry. Super excited to be here. My name is Matt McClellan, one of the co-founders of Hona. Hona is a client communication platform. We specialize in automating updates to law firms' clients and allowing them to stay in the know about what's going on in their case without your team and the law firm's team having to do too much extra work. So we're all about client experience and really just painting that journey for the client so that they feel apprised of the information they want to know, and they're just calling your firm a whole lot less, asking the redundant question of, what's the status? What's the status?
Yes, we all too often that occurs, and especially in the client journey for a legal case like a personal injury case, cases that may take 3 to 4 years. A lot of the time, months go by with no update, and no update is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just it's just the reality of the litigation timeline. So it seems like your company has taken that problem and solved it a bit to help with the communication with the clients. What pain points did you find in the client communication journey that led to Hona and the solutions that it provides law firms?
Yeah, so my co-founder, his name's Manny, his wife actually got in a car accident, and that was kind of nothing was too serious. She got rear-ended by a pretty big truck, nothing too serious, but she hired a personal injury attorney, and Manny and I both have a background working at a case management software company. And so we knew a little bit about the process, but then he dealt with it firsthand in helping his wife through that case and being involved in it. And what he found is like exactly your point. There's long gaps in communication because not much is needed. You go through this treatment period where you're going to the chiropractor and you're getting your body right after an accident. And that's the only important thing to do at that point in time, right? Is just go get better. And then it's like, hey, medical treatment's done, and you start compiling everything that comes with that. And then there's these just big gaps where the law firm knows exactly what's going on, but the actual consumer who's usually never been through a personal injury case is like, why is this taking so long? When am I going to get my money? Are you waiting on me for something? Like, is it something that I'm holding it up on? And so all this confusion and these long gaps, though it's normal on the litigation side and you guys deal with it on a day-to-day basis, the average consumer just gets lost in the process and just wants to know what's going on and when it's going to be resolved. So that was kind of like the catalyst for us starting the business was like, holy cow, there's so many businesses that have similar issues, right? Of like, think about Amazon. You don't know where your package is at. You just go to the app and you go check out, oh, okay, yeah, it's 10 steps away from my house. I just got a text saying it's going to be here any second. We all love those texts. We all love that proactive style of communication. Take it a step further. We've got pizza brands like Domino's who have built this pizza tracker. And so we wanted to give that same type of consumer experience for law firm clients. Trademark pending, pizza tracker for legal cases, where somebody can like have a resource that they don't have to call your team, email your team, bombard your team with all these redundant questions, but really they have a resource they can turn to and be like, oh, here's where it's at. Here's what's coming up next. Here's why it's taking so long. no, they're not waiting on anything from me. It's just, this is the process, and we're waiting on the opposing counsel to return, conversations and start the negotiation after the demand letter was sent. So we've just built something that gives a really good client experience and ties to a law firm's, operations, so that most of the communication happens automatically.
That's honestly a beautiful thing. As a law firm owner, we've struggled with that process too, and we tried to build out a client portal for our own consumers.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what pain points Hona solves in that client communication journey, and what input does it require from the law firm owner or staff for it to get up and running?
Yeah, so I imagine you utilize some type of case management software. Great. So typically we tie into your operations, and that when you complete a task, you can automate text messages or automate like a phase change on our end on the pizza tracker, right? So let's just say in a personal injury case, you're moving in your case management, you move it from treatment to demand drafting, right? The client would get a text that says something like, hey, just want to give you an update on your case. Click this link to see where your case is at. They're then going to click a link. We utilize a really awesome technology to drive adoption called magic links. It's the same thing that DocuSign uses, where all they have to do is they click the link, it authenticates to their device, and they don't need to make a username. They don't need to make a password. Really secure, just like DocuSign, but yet decreases friction for them to actually get into the application. It pulls them in on their browser, no downloading an app needed. And they're going to get this view of like, oh, you're in the demand phase. Typically, video content's amazing because you can record a video of saying, hey, thanks so much. Looks like you're done through your treatment. You've let our team know. We're going to start compiling your demand letter. What that means is we're going to go look at all your medical history, all the prescriptions you got, all the medical treatments you went and did, and we're going to start drafting this demand. This usually takes a few months, weeks, however you want to paint that picture to set the expectation. And as soon as we're done gathering all your medical information, we can start compiling your demand. Hold tight. We don't need anything from you right now. We'll let you know if things progress or change. But this sometimes takes a while. Now that does two things. It allows them to know what's going on, right? Like you usually tell them all this over the phone. The case managers tell them about this, but allows them to know what's going on, what's coming up next, why it takes so long. And it triggered from like an update in your case management because you moved the stage to demand sent. It's like actually personal to them and their journey at that point in time. And so tying into those, tasks being completed is another big one where you can send text messages. Take it a step further. This is what we designed to take care of those no update updates, because you mentioned like sometimes it's just like 3-4 months and nothing's happened. We call them drip notifications, but those are your no update updates. So you can say, hey, on day 14 after the demand phase has been entered, let's send them a text that says, hey, John, just want to remind you, you're still in this demand phase. If you have any questions, check out this link, but bear in mind there's nothing we need from you right now. We'll be in touch if we do need something.
Yeah, that's so much value to the client journey, and it keeps, from my perspective, it seems like the client is involved in the entire process, and they don't feel like they're, shut out from this type of. For many people, the legal process is entirely an unknown universe. So it seems like a lot of people, at least from the clients I interact with, a lot of the times they feel like they're in this unknown world of what do I do, what's next. And this solves that problem pretty well.
Totally. We had our marketing team scrape 1,000 reviews from law firms, 1,000 one-star reviews from different law firms' website, like Google pages. 41% of them directly mentioned poor communication, like called it out explicitly. Bad at communicating, didn't ever tell me updates. And then there was like a bunch of them that we just assume also have to do with communication, but they didn't explicitly call it out. But 41% explicitly called it out. You'd probably know this. Do you know the number one reason for bar complaints?
No communication?
Exactly. So it's a huge issue. And it's not because your team's not communicating usually. Usually it's a pretty high priority to make sure you're communicating with your clients. It's just that their expectations you don't meet their expectations. Which is a hard thing to meet because they're comparing you not to other law firms. They don't know what it's like to work with other law firms, but they're comparing you to other businesses they interact with. And that's the difficult part to running a law firm today is the consumer thinks they should be communicated with like an Amazon, like a Domino's. And so their expectations aren't met. And it's hard to meet those expectations.
Especially in this space, sure, a law firm isn't necessarily a consumer-facing service, but in some worlds, like our world of personal injury, our world of workers' compensation, and just representing people in employment disputes, it's 100% consumer-facing. So we face this same dilemma every time a consumer comes to sign with us: is how long is it going to take? How do I get informed? Why is it taking so long? What is happening on the back end that I want to be aware of so that I know what's going to happen with my case? And with technologies like ChatGPT coming up and becoming more relevant, consumers have a lot more access to information at their fingertips. Um, and when they do access that information and they have a question about it,
Mm-hmm.
something doesn't align with what they've been told by your law firm, or something doesn't align with what their expectation is of the process, there's an easy avenue of communication to dial right in, so that the perception from the consumer's perspective is aligned with the actual goals of the law firm for the client.
Totally. Yeah, that's a good call out. I think you're right. People just anticipate that they have the resources and answers to their questions when they want it. I've talked to a lot of attorneys, and like it's a little scary for them to go Google their own medical or like legal advice, right? Like you don't want, like you'd rather them come to your firm than go get all this stuff that probably isn't accurate. If you chat GPT, like how much money am I going to get in a fender bender where I hurt my neck and got concussion and broken arm? It's like you guys know the answer better than chat GPT is probably going to give them, and it's going to set their expectations off. And so it's important to give them a safe space where it's like curated, I guess, to the things that you want them to understand. Does that resonate at all?
Big time. We run into this consumer expectation issue on a daily basis, and it comes down to what seems like the problem that your company solves is that client communication issue. So the videos explain to the clients what phases of the litigation pipeline or pre-litigation pipeline we're in, what comes next, what to expect during that process. I mean, it's a big game changer, because as companies develop, as services develop, and as technology to communicate becomes easier like this, consumers want that kind of instant communication, the instant ability to retrieve information. And I feel like a platform into your case management software certainly solves that issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I think to take it a step further, it's like people don't. Yeah, so like if you've communicated with them in a certain way for the first 3 months, right? They're also accustomed to that now. And instead of calling in, they say, no, there's been no update. I know I'm going to get an update when there's an update. There hasn't been one, which is why I haven't heard from them in 2 weeks. That's like they become accustomed to it as well. So you're setting expectations of like, hey, we're going to proactively communicate with you. You don't need to follow up. If you need us, we're here. But at the end of the day, like we're going to let you know when there's been updates or if we need anything additional from you. And so there's so many things that get uplifted when you utilize the right type of technology around communication. You set their expectations, you give them a resource to go to when they want it. They don't reach out as much because they know that they're going to get reached out to when they need, when things have updated. It's been so fun to see we've been doing this about 4 years. But like average Google reviews go way up. People are more likely to leave Google reviews because not only are they happy with the services, but they're like raving fans with how good it was because they've talked to other friends about it, or they just were impressed with how your team communicated with them and handled their case. So super cool outcomes from just utilizing something that seems simple on the surface, but at the end of the day delivers just like that top-notch client experience for your clients.
As a law firm owner and an implementer for some of these types of technologies, can you talk to us about a process of implementing Hona into your existing ecosystem, what that process is like, what the lift is like, so that law firm owners really know what they're getting into in terms of utility versus expense or expenditure of energy?
Totally. We take a super consultative approach. So what that means is we've got like for personal injury, because it sounds like that's predominantly what you guys do. Personal injury, we've got like 18 different templates to choose from where you say, hey, here's the verbiage, here's 90% of the way. You tell us how you want to communicate with your clients, choose from these templates, edit them as desired. But but you're 90% of the way, and you get to choose what that journey looks like for your client. Is it an 8-stage journey because you typically go into litigation and you want to make sure you paint the picture of litigation? Do you want 6 stages because, hey, we don't go to litigation too often, we typically can solve it pre-litigation? So we allow you guys to kind of almost like a la carte, like, hey, I like this template, let's implement that. Then we take the step and we say, okay, what case management system are you on? We integrate with 14 at this point in time. What triggers from your case management should update this aspect of Hona in the client journey? Okay, great. We plug those together. Super simple. It's like a drag and drop style workflow builder where it's like, okay, that trigger, when this stage gets moved to, it's this. But when this stage gets moved to, it goes to this stage. Or if it's in any of these 3 stages in my system, it's going to be in this one stage in Hona. Super configurable. We take the approach of what do you want your client's experience to look like, and then what are your processes currently in place that could make all that happen. Typical onboarding's 3 to 6 weeks, depends on how many practice areas you have and how your internal processes are set up. And usually 3 Zoom calls is all that's needed to get onboarded.
That's pretty solid, fast paced.
Yeah. What's important to us, we one of our biggest KPIs in the company, we call it time to value. When you come on with a new software provider, time to value is typically kind of long. I'm sure you've been through implementations where it's like you didn't get value out of it for 6+ months. We want to make sure people get value out of it as quick as possible. So we've invested a lot into our implementation and onboarding process to make sure people are finding value in it in the first 6 weeks of purchasing.
Yeah, I mean, over the last 5 years, our firm has looked completely different than it does today. And what you just said, the time to value, has been the biggest pain point in implementation of any technological project, or really any kind of client initiative project that we've had. Is it just sometimes the juice ain't worth the squeeze? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and it's
how
a
do you
shift.
address that problem?
Yeah, I was gonna say the PTSD is very real. We talk to law firm owners in your exact situation where they're like, not another implementation. My team's gonna kill me. But like
Yeah.
that's why we've built so much around like we don't want to change your process too much. We want to connect to your process in a really flexible, configurable way that allows your clients to get a really good baseline client experience without you having to change your internal processes too much. And so like that's the approach we've taken is we wanted to make a really flexible software on our end that can fit around your current process. Yes, there's going to be changes. There's definitely some change management. I don't want to like set that up wrong, but like we also want to like enable your team to know, hey, we do a full team training with every team we onboard, where it's like either a webinar style or we record a video specific to your team and how your system is set up. And we say, here's what the clients are going to experience when you utilize Hona. All you got to do is change your phases, update your tasks, and look at what your clients will experience and look at the outcomes. Because of it, your clients are going to call you less. When they do call, they're going to be shorter calls that are usually a different, a client actually said this once. They're like, I still get a lot of calls from clients, but like my average call duration went from 10 minutes with clients to like 4 minutes because they have way less questions and they're usually like much happier. Like their demeanor is different when they call in. And so like, he's like, I never kept track of how many calls were coming from clients, but I do keep track of how long some of those calls take. And it's just been a dramatic decrease because they're a little more informed calling in.
Yeah, I can definitely see that coming in, having studied whatever portal they have with the information that they have about their case. They probably call in with more pinpointed questions, more direct versus that phone call you get of, hey, it's been 6 months since I've heard of you. What's going on? That type of thing.
The question's not where am I and what does that mean? It's like, hey, just wanted a quick clarification on, the demand writing process. Am I going to sign that before you guys send that off, or do you just kind of send it off? It's like, no, yeah. So it's just like, it's 2 layers deeper. It's not the surface level questions that then mean 5 more questions. It's the 1 or 2 questions down
Deeper.
here that maybe your content didn't answer, or maybe this is just a really inquisitive client that wants to really understand the legal process, which you have those, right? Like everyone's a little bit different and has different styles. So.
Does the Hona platform provide for 2-way communication, or is it just literally one way the client can interact with Hona and then that feeds into whatever system the law firm has?
Yeah, we're a full texting platform. when we came out 4 years ago, we were more of a one-way push. We thought, hey, let's just be in the background software that runs and gives people updates. And that's really good. We still have a lot of clients that just use it as a one-way. But I will say the power of using one phone number for all communication is why we've leaned into like doing a two-way texting platform, because like if you're texting out of one system and then our system's sending updates, it gets confusing for the user to be like, oh, well, which number do I need to text back to? So on and so forth. And so kind of by design, we've started building a lot more products into our platform that allow for every client interaction to be through one phone number, which would be the phone number we provide for you guys or we can host for you guys.
Does that become only a text message phone number, or is also a phone call and phone number?
Yeah, so we can set it up to forward to whatever phone system you have, where if they call that number, it's just going to forward to whatever system you have, which like depending on the size of the firm, some clients are like, no, here's our phone number. Here's all of our marketing phone numbers, but here's our phone number we want clients to be routed to. And so that's a really seamless way where it's like, it's a client if it's on our system. So it's going to always route to that client success team, or depends on how you structured your firm. You can kind of do quite a few different things.
Yeah. What was the 4-year journey like for Hona, and how did your team change its way it implements the features and get feedback from customers to better the software?
Yeah, we think about this a ton. At the end of the day, like we're a software as a service, SaaS. That's like what all these products are called, right? But it's a product and a service at the same time. If the product's not extremely good and you're not iterating on it, I'm sure you've been with softwares that you're like, they don't update this as much as I want them to. We've taken like, I think as extreme as it comes, like approach at like fanatically listening to our clients. And I'll tell you one way. We early days purchased a software for us to use internally that every time something like a product request or an idea comes up, our AI note takers are actually putting that into the software. And then if we hear it from 50 clients, we know, okay, we should probably prioritize this because we've heard it across 50 client phone calls or prospect phone calls or potential client phone calls. And so this software actually helps us prioritize in two different ways. One is we can tell how much effort that project's going to be or that new feature is going to be, but then how much impact it's going to have. And so we see, okay, these 30 clients and 10 potential clients have asked for this feature. It's going to be a pretty big impact on the business, and it's also kind of a medium effort project. Let's prioritize that. And so not only does the AI like recording thing do that, but also our team like is in an email comes in like, hey, we would love to have this feature. They go update that same software. And it's just like, it's our roadmap. It's like, what's going to deliver the most impact? And then we weigh that against like the matrix of impact versus effort, right? And that's how we prioritize the new features and new products we build.
And I mean, this is a big ticket question item for any software company. Is there any utilization of AI models in the background software for Hona or anything in the future?
Yeah, great. Yeah. So we were really intentional when AI started booming about 2 years ago. A lot of people like shipped products really quickly that demoed well and on the surface had a lot of good stuff. I'm sure you've demoed a bunch and you're like, this is going to change my law firm. And then you, in reality, it wasn't very, you couldn't trust it fully, or the utility.
Promise, under deliver.
Yeah, because it was so exciting and this technology really did blow up so quickly, and it's changing every day. So we were really cognizant of how we launched it. And we've been working on it since. Like we immediately, like when it really started booming, we're like, hey, let's go get a machine learning engineer. We need someone on our team that understands this technology at a really deep level. So we've had a machine learning engineer for nearly 2 years now. And what we've been doing is we've been learning how to accumulate our data in a way where the AI can actually interact with the data and cause real utility. So let me tell you how we're doing that. We have a new product. We call it Voice AI. Now, Voice AI is a phone answering agent that sounds very human-like, and not only can like answer calls and collect information, but actually can join the conversation with some information. So if someone calls in, we recognize the phone number. Let's say Susie is calling in. We say, okay, great. It's a Hona client. We know that they're currently in the treatment phase. It can actually jump into the phone call with, like a, hey, Susie, looks like you're calling. our system still shows you're in the treatment phase. Is that correct? Are you still treating? Yes or no? Oh, you're not. Great. Let me take a message and let the team know that you're no longer treating, and we can now progress the case based on that information we now know. Oh, you're in the demand phase, or oh, looks like we've sent out the demand 30 days ago. So that's being trained right now for two purposes. One is to help with client calls that are still coming in, but the other is to help with intakes and actually like help you prioritize which phone calls make a ton of sense for your team to be on the phone with. And so we have some really advanced call routing where it's like, hey, if they answer these 5 questions this way about their car accident they got in, we're going to forward that right to Harry's cell phone because Harry's happy to take a call with somebody who was just in an 18-wheeler accident who's really, really injured and is in need of a lot of help right now. So that's where we're leaning in right now on the AI front. Have you heard of companies doing stuff like that?
So we were involved in one of those AI answering service type companies that we're not in anymore. But a similar service was promised. This was maybe about, I don't know, 11 months ago, 12 months ago, a year ago. Similar setup, but I'm sure the technology has advanced since then. And your company and your team is different. But it does sound promising, especially for high volume practices, maybe that aren't where the cost of acquisition isn't so high. It may be a game changer for those types of practices who also don't have big teams to leverage. Bankruptcy practice, typically high volume, teams are kind of smaller. I can definitely see some utility becoming in for those specific law firms for this kind of service.
Absolutely. I think you nailed that right on. And what we're finding as firms are using it more and more, like originally we rolled it out as like a overflow and after hours, which it does an extremely good job at overflow and after hours, taking messages. What we're finding is like firms are more and more trusting it because it's actually really good. And now their intake team, maybe you have a 2-person intake team that's trying to be on phone calls with potential clients all day long. They're on calls and then a call comes in and it's an overflow call that needs to go to a phone answering service, or they're not able to pick it up within 5 or 6 rings, so it goes to some other service. What we're finding is we're picking up those calls, keeping them warm until someone's able to transfer it back to them because they got off the phone call. And you can see like, oh, they're currently on with somebody who's answered. Like it's live transcripting it. So you can see like, oh, wow, this is a hot lead that's on the phone with our AI right now. And so smaller intake teams are able to just prioritize things in a way they've never been able to prioritize.
That's interesting.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. And the technology, you're right. Like in the past 6 months, I'd say it's exponentially gotten better because people are realizing how good it is at client support and these intake calls that are just asking like the same questions over and over again. And like our mission is not to be on the call for 10 minutes doing a full intake. Our mission is 90 seconds or less, find out if this is a really good opportunity, and then do what the firm wants with it based on how good of an opportunity it is.
How specifically this AI phone feature, does it tie into different soft phones, for example, different features that different case management services have to be able to manage volume and routing? Or is it its own independent system?
So we have our own like automations and workflow system that we built for like, hey, when it's right now it's 3. Is it a cold, a warm, or a hot lead? You guys basically get to tell it how to know what's what. Hot lead after hours, do this. Hot lead during hours, do this. Warm lead after hours, we have a calendar integration where we could just go set it on your consultation calendar if it's a warm lead. And so like it's able to do things based on your desires. And then the way we tie into like your phone systems is you get to say, hey, at what times a day or when do we send calls to Hona's AI? Is it overflow? Is it after hours? Is it every call? Do you want this to act as your receptionist? Depending on firm size, that sometimes makes a ton of sense. So really configurable. Once again, kind of like what I was painting the picture of with our pizza tracker product. It's flexible. We want to make it fit to your operations and have like a really enterprise grade product that is easy to onboard at the same time, which that's a really difficult thing to do. Easy to implement onboard, but also give you the flexibility to fit with your systems.
Any other program or service that Hona provides that we haven't talked about that you think would be worth diving into?
Yes, I want to tell you about something that's been going on. We built a forms product, and by that I mean like surveys, forms. Think of like a Google form that you can send clients automatically when they reach certain phases or 3 weeks into a certain phase, like things like that. What it's starting to be utilized for, Harry, is you can do like a treatment check-in form, or like a pain journal is what we're kind of calling it a lot, where, hey, every week during the treatment phase, let's send them this form that says, how did you feel this week? Did you go to your medical appointments? What's your next medical appointment coming up? Has anything changed? Or, what important family events or what important life events did you have to miss because of this injury? And so you're getting this chronological history of, on a weekly basis, bi-weekly basis, whatever cadence you want, of like how this is actually affecting their lives and if they're going to their appointments. Now, both those things, I mean, you're nodding because I think you realize, like, wow, that's what drives a lot of the value in these cases, is like, how is it affecting their life and how hurt are they? So
discovering the client story is, a big part of what we do, and being able to make that into a message to deliver to the insurance company is part of the process.
Exactly. And that's exactly what people are doing with it. Now you have, like, let's say you went to treatment for 10 weeks and you have this pain journal of 10 weeks. Now with so many of these cool AI products, you can just like summarize all that, and it can write up a really, really, like, next to the medical chronology of what actually happened medically, you've got all this layered in, like, hey, this is how it affected my life in a negative way. I haven't, my main stress coping mechanism is playing the piano, but because my arms are hurt, I haven't been able to play the piano for 3 months, and it's really affected my life in a negative way. And so the consistent ability to be able to, because we know what phase of the case they're in, be able to send out stuff like that and gather additional information throughout the life cycle of the case is not only like making for a really good client experience and giving your team the arsenal, like the things they need to write a compelling demand, but take it a step further. The experience is just so consistent, and like they feel like you guys are really invested, because you are. Like, I know I've talked to so many law firm owners. You guys care about the outcomes of these cases. You care about how much the clients recover from these incidents. But without a technology in place, it's really hard to gather that type of information. And so we're really trying to enable a really good client experience, all while helping your team be operating at a higher level as well.
I love this. I mean, to leverage technology to make client services way better and get them better results is like, it's the fun stuff. So, I appreciate this overview.
Absolutely. It's, I never went to law school. I'm not a lawyer. We work with lawyers all day, and it's really fun to understand your guys' business problems and then create technology to help solve those business problems. It's fascinating. Like, I mentioned one of my co-founders whose wife was in the car accident. The other one, he's our engineer. He built the product from the ground up. He's brilliant product mind. When people ask for a feature, he goes 6 layers deeper and say, why do you need that feature? Oh, and he gets to why they need these things and actually gets to solving real problems. And sometimes the feature that we build based on what they came to us with is different than how they approached it, because he takes the lens of, okay, what's actually going to solve this to the best possible way. And so that's why we created this pain journaling product. Is it's like, oh, we want to make sure our clients are going to doctor's appointments. That's what they came to us with. But what it turned into was like, no, we're going to make sure of that, but we're also going to get a really nice, consistent journal of how it's affecting their life and things outside of the appointments from these incidents. So it's a fun, all that to say, sorry, maybe my passion's showing through right now. All that to say, like, we want to solve real problems for real law firms. And it's a fun world to be in.
That's awesome, Matt. Can you tell our viewers how they can get in touch with you, get on your platform, get more information about the platform?
Yeah. We love our name, Hona. It's an obscure name that no other companies really have in the world. So Hona.com is where you can find out about us. If you want to see a demo of the product, that's the best place to get in touch with my sales team. I go to a lot of conferences. So if you go to a lot of conferences, you might have seen me before. We're at a lot of those. But as far as like seeing a demo or getting in touch with me, LinkedIn's a great spot. And so is our website, if you just want to learn more about the product and what we're doing.
Well, thank you so much, Matt, for this awesome conversation. a deep preview into Hona and for solving law firm owner problems.
Of course.
Appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me on, Harry. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us today on Harry Handles It. I hope you enjoyed our conversation and found some valuable takeaways. If you're facing challenges in your own life or business, remember that you're not alone. Together, we can handle anything that comes our way. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you liked what you heard. Until next time, keep pushing forward and handling life with confidence.